Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. This is not a random algorithm. This is an urgent divine interception meant only for you. They set up a cruel trial to watch you break, and they gathered around in the shadows to witness your defeat. But you are still standing, and your calm demeanor is literally making them climb the walls because they cannot understand your peace. Take one slow breath. Feel that slight tightness in your chest. That is your spirit recognizing the absolute truth in these words. You did not click this message by chance, because heaven routed this signal to your device while massive news is about to drop. If you look away now, you will miss the vindication you have been praying for. Think about the past few weeks, people acting strange around you, unexplained silence from those who used to drain your energy. They thought their sudden absence would make you panic, and they truly believed you would chase them down to beg for their validation, but you did the exact opposite. You stayed incredibly quiet, and that silence has become a weapon of light. They constructed a false narrative about you. They painted you as the villain to hide their toxic behavior. Everyone took their seats at this fake spiritual trial. They expected you to defend yourself with anger, but you refused to scream and prove them right, because your emotional reaction is the only currency they know how to spend. You kept your wealth to yourself, but you starved them completely. You gave them absolutely nothing. You did not send that angry text. You did not post a dramatic response. You simply observed their chaotic behavior from a place of supreme stillness, and this is the exact moment you evolved from a wounded empath into a master of reality. And they are completely terrified of this new version of you. Right now, someone specific is obsessively checking your silent energy. They are losing their mind because they cannot read your next move. Your peace is completely unnatural to them. They thrive in drama and confusion, so when you finally removed your emotional investment, you permanently cut off their main oxygen supply. Now they are suffocating in their own trap. Do not take your eyes off this screen. The heavy spiritual attacks you faced recently are hard proof that the enemy is panicking. They know something that you do not know yet. They can see the massive blessing hovering just above your timeline, and they tried to distract you with petty drama so you would look away when the big news finally arrives. Do not let them win. You must understand the magnitude of this moment. The waiting season has officially ended. The dry desert you walked through alone is about to flood with divine favor. But there is a hidden mechanism inside this breakthrough, and there is a secret piece of information you must hear today before you can claim your prize. If you leave early, you leave your armor behind. The darkness does not want you to hear these next words. They are actively trying to pull your attention away right now. Notice how your mind suddenly feels distracted. That is a deliberate spiritual attack to keep you ignorant, while heaven is trying to hand you the ultimate key to your freedom. Push through it and listen closely. You are the anomaly they cannot control. This incoming news is going to change the trajectory of your entire life. It is not just a small victory or a lucky coincidence. This is a generational wealth transfer and a total restoration of everything they stole from you. They thought they took your power, but they only cleared the necessary space for a kingdom-level upgrade that you are about to receive. Your enemies are exhausting themselves trying to maintain their false reality. They are running out of lies to tell. The people who believed their stories are starting to see the cracks in their masks. The truth always reveals itself in the end, and your steadfast patience has accelerated their downfall, while you did not have to lift a single finger against them. Heaven fought this battle on your behalf. The angels of justice have reviewed the evidence of your silent suffering. The verdict of this spiritual trial has been finalized, and the ruling is entirely in your favor. This is why you feel a strange sense of anticipation today, because your soul already knows that the heavy scales of justice are finally tipping back. Stay with me until the very final second of this message. because I am going to reveal exactly what this big news entails. I will tell you how to recognize the specific sign when it manifests in your reality. If you miss this crucial sign, you might accidentally reject the massive blessing because the enemy is banking on your ignorance to steal your reward. You are a powerful cycle breaker. You carry the heavy burden of healing wounds you did not cause. They saw your deep kindness and mistook it for weakness. They assumed you would always forgive their repeated disrespect, but they severely underestimated the quiet strength of a chosen one who finally discovers their boundaries and refuses to play their twisted games. Take another deep breath and anchor yourself in this solid truth. The storm is over. The frantic energy you sense around you does not belong to you anymore. It belongs entirely to the narcissists who realize they lost their best source of light. So let them climb the walls and sit in the dark while you prepare your heart for this massive shift. Let us talk about the crushing weight you have been carrying. You feel a deep physical exhaustion right now. Your bones are incredibly tired, and this is not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, because your spirit has been fighting a massive unseen war. You wake up at 3 in the morning with your heart racing. Your mind spins with endless anxious thoughts. You have been operating on pure survival mode for months. Your shoulders are constantly tight. There is a persistent pressure sitting heavily on your chest. You thought there was something medically wrong with you, but doctors found nothing. That physical pain is entirely spiritual. It is the literal manifestation of the toxic energy you have been absorbing from others. You were pushed to the absolute edge of your sanity. You felt completely isolated and entirely alone. Everyone around you seemed to demand pieces of your light. They took your kindness without offering anything in return. And when you finally had nothing left to give, they abandoned you in the dark. You cried silent tears that no one ever bothered to wipe away. Why did you have to endure this brutal level of exhaustion? Why were you drained so completely while the selfish people thrived? This is a crucial question. You must understand the specific reason behind this severe depletion. The darkness purposely targeted your energy reserves to ensure you would be too weak to receive the massive blessing that is approaching. Stop blaming yourself for feeling broken and unmotivated. You are not lazy or depressed. You are a highly sensitive empath recovering from a severe spiritual attack. Your nervous system was hijacked by narcissists who fed on your brilliant aura. They required your constant emotional reactions to sustain their own hollow existence. And they nearly destroyed you doing it. Your intuition tried to warn you repeatedly. Remember those times you felt physically sick around a certain person? Your stomach tied into knots. Your head pounded with a sudden migraine. You ignored the signs because you wanted to see the good in them. But your body was actively rejecting their dark attachments. Your physical vessel knew they were deeply dangerous. They pushed you until you almost shattered completely. You reached a point where you genuinely wanted to give up. You looked up at the ceiling and asked heaven if anyone was even listening anymore. The silence felt like a heavy blanket suffocating your last spark of hope. You felt entirely invisible to the universe, but heaven was documenting every single struggle. Tap the like button right now as an act of agreement with what God just spoke to your spirit. Anchor this validation deep into your reality. You need to physically confirm that you hear this truth, because the enemy wants to convince you that this is all in your head. Do not let them invalidate your lived experience. You survived a trial meant to end you. You are a rare soul who processes the pain of the entire world. When you walk into a crowded room, you instantly absorb the hidden grief of strangers. This makes you incredibly powerful, but incredibly vulnerable. They weaponized your empathy against you. They threw their heaviest burdens onto your shoulders and walked away free. But their free ride is officially over. The severe fatigue you feel today is the aftermath of a massive energetic purge. Your body is forcibly rejecting the residual trauma they left behind. It hurts to release it. Healing is often messier and more painful than the initial wound itself. But this extreme discomfort proves that the toxic roots are finally being pulled out of your timeline permanently. You survived the darkest valley completely alone. Nobody came to rescue you when the wolves surrounded your mind. You had to become your own protector. You built iron boundaries with shaking hands, and every time you said no to a narcissist, your spiritual muscles grew significantly stronger. Now you possess a quiet authority that demands absolute respect. They expected you to remain a passive victim forever. They relied on your endless forgiveness to escape their own karma. But something fundamental shifted inside you recently. You stopped offering second chances to people who knew exactly what they were doing. You realized that protecting your peace is much more sacred than keeping toxic connections alive. Do you feel a slight sense of relief washing over you? That is the heavy chains of false guilt falling off your spirit. You are no longer responsible for fixing broken people who refuse to heal themselves. You have carried their bags for far too long. Drop their heavy luggage right here. You cannot walk into your new kingdom carrying the dirty laundry of your past. Heaven is completely clearing your slate right now. The extreme exhaustion was necessary to force you to sit still. If you had extra energy, you would have used it to chase after the wrong people again. The universe had to empty your tank to keep you safe in divine isolation. You were grounded for your own absolute protection while the massive storm raged outside. I need you to listen very carefully to this next revelation. The intense suffering you experienced was never a punishment. You spent countless nights thinking heaven had abandoned you. You believed you were permanently cursed because nothing worked out in your favor, and you watched others easily get what you wanted. But you were completely wrong about this. The sudden roadblocks were a rigorous protection protocol. Let me close the loop on why you had to be drained so severely. If you had maintained your usual high energy, you would have kept fighting for people assigned to destroy you. You would have used your beautiful light to warm up cold hearts that actively wanted you to freeze. Heaven had to physically stop you. The universe drained your tank so you could not run back into that burning building. Think about the doors that slammed shut in your face recently. You cried over those lost opportunities. You grieved the sudden departure of people you deeply loved. But those closed doors were actually massive shields, saving your life. The people who walked away did not reject you because you were inadequate. They were forcefully removed from your timeline because they could not survive your frequency. This period of intense loneliness is not a sign of failure. It is called divine isolation. When a masterpiece is being restored, it is always removed from the public eye. You were taken out of circulation so the dark forces could not reach you during your most vulnerable upgrade. Heaven hid you in the shadows to protect your spirit while you underwent a massive internal transformation. Those toxic individuals you encountered were not your soulmates or your permanent friends. They were simply sandpaper used to polish your boundaries. The narcissists were allowed into your life for one specific reason. They were spiritual tests designed to trigger your deepest wounds so you could finally heal them. Once the test was over, their access to your energy was permanently revoked. You must stop feeling guilty for surviving. You must stop apologizing for the sharp boundaries you recently established. For years, you were the empath who begged to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You watered dead plants and wondered why your own garden was completely dying. But the crucible of pain has finally burned away your dangerous need to please everyone. You did absolutely nothing wrong. Read that again and let it sink deeply into your weary bones. Your only mistake was giving premium spiritual real estate to people who only wanted to pitch a cheap tent. But heaven does not blame you for having a massive heart. Your immense capacity for love is exactly why you were chosen for this specific generational mission in the first place. The pain was simply the heavy price of profound awareness. You cannot become a master of reality without first understanding how the dark illusions work. You had to experience the bitter poison of betrayal so you would learn how to spot a toxic counterfeit from a mile away. This brutal training ensures that when the true blessing arrives, no imposter can ever steal it from your hands. Your enemies thought they broke your spirit during this dark season. They watched you retreat into isolation and celebrated their false victory. They assumed your sudden silence meant you were defeated and destroyed, but they fundamentally misunderstood the law of spiritual physics. A seed must be completely buried in the dark dirt before it can burst through the soil and reach the glorious sun. You were not buried, you were planted. And during all those quiet months where nothing seemed to happen, your roots were growing incredibly deep. You were drawing pure wisdom from the hidden underground rivers. While they were busy creating loud drama on the surface, you were quietly building an unshakable foundation that no storm can ever uproot. Your silence was your ultimate preparation. Take a deep breath and release the heavy guilt of your past. Breathe out the false shame they tried to project onto your innocent soul. You are officially absolved. You have passed the grueling test with flying colors, and your spiritual record is now completely clean. The universe is rolling out the red carpet for your next chapter because you proved you can handle true power. Do you see how everything perfectly connects now? Every tear you cried was collected and traded for a higher level of spiritual authority. Every sleepless night was a sacred download of divine intelligence. You are standing on the precipice of a massive revelation. And now that you understand the true purpose of your painful past, you are ready to learn why your calm demeanor is driving them insane. The vindication you craved is unfolding right before your eyes. You do not need to defend yourself anymore. You do not need to explain your journey to people who are committed to misunderstanding your growth. Your silent success is doing all the talking for you. Get ready, because the narrative is about to violently flip in your favor, and they will be forced to watch you rise. Listen carefully to what I am about to say next. There is a deeper layer to this strange spiritual phenomenon. They truly believed they had destroyed your spirit permanently. When you slowly retreated to heal your deeply broken heart, the cruel enemy threw a massive celebration right behind your back. They assumed your bright light was completely dead, and there is a core reason why your current state of absolute calmness is entirely destroying their mental stability right now. I will reveal that core reason shortly, because you must understand their plot. When they pushed you down, they did not just walk away. They actively watched you fall to the hard ground. They monitored your silent suffering with a twisted sense of extreme pride. They genuinely thought they had finally extinguished the brightest light in their entire universe, and they assumed you would never recover from the heavy blow they delivered. They quickly started spreading false narratives about your mental state. They painted you as deeply unstable to justify their betrayal. They wanted to make sure nobody would ever rescue you. By isolating you completely from your trusted support system, they thought they sealed your tragic fate and trapped you in a permanent cycle of dark despair. They were incredibly confident in their wicked master plan, but heaven was closely watching every single move they made. The divine courts recorded every vicious lie they whispered. Type 111 down in the comments to claim this alignment. You must anchor your energy right now, because the universe is actively dismantling the false reality they built, and your ultimate vindication is no longer just a distant dream. They were so arrogant, they started flaunting their fake happiness. They paraded their new counterfeit connections right in front of you. They wanted to trigger a desperate reaction from your wounded soul. They expected you to scream and cry and beg them for closure, because your explosive pain is the exact fuel that keeps their empty hearts beating every single day. They desperately needed you to care about their lives. But you did something that completely short-circuited their dark matrix. You offered them absolute nothingness. instead of your precious energy. You did not fight back against their ridiculous smear campaign. You did not try to convince anyone of your true innocence. You simply stepped out of the chaotic arena and let them fight their own shadows. And that quiet decision marked the immediate beginning of their ultimate downfall. They literally panicked when you stopped responding to their toxic bait. Narcissists operate under a very strict illusion of absolute control. They become tiny and pathetic when they cannot manipulate your mood. When they successfully dictate your sensitive emotions, they truly feel like powerful gods, ruling over your entire timeline with an iron fist. But they lose everything when you finally reclaim your reactions. This is exactly why your calm demeanor is a lethal weapon. You planted seeds of massive renewal while they dug your grave. They thought your sudden silence was the tragic end of your story. They had absolutely no idea that your quiet retreat was merely the dark incubation period for your ultimate rebirth, and you were gathering profound strength in the shadows. They missed the signs of your powerful upgrade entirely. They assumed your fragile heart was permanently shattered beyond all repair. They took extreme pride in breaking the powerful chosen one. They constantly bragged to their enablers about how easily they discarded you. But heaven allowed them to think they won for a very specific strategic reason, because the universe needed them to lower their defenses completely before justice finally struck. They fell blindly into the divine trap set for them, and right now they are feeling the first cold waves of panic. Their counterfeit lives are slowly starting to crumble all around them. The people they used to replace you are already draining them completely. They are suddenly realizing that the warm light they took for granted is entirely gone, and they are freezing in the dark because they know exactly who holds the fire. But they cannot steal your precious warmth ever again. You became completely untouchable while they were not even looking. The spiritual shield heavily surrounding you hardened into absolute solid titanium. They try to send negative energy your way, but it simply bounces back. This is the brutal law of spiritual reflection operating in full effect, ensuring that whatever dark poison they send in your direction is automatically returned to their own cup. Their own toxic attacks are destroying their fragile reality. Do you feel that slight pull in your chest right now? Pay close attention, because this part will make sense of your entire past year. You always thought the enemy was attacking you because you were weak. But they relentlessly attacked you because they saw your massive potential long before you did, and they were utterly terrified of the spiritual master you were destined to become. They wanted to crush your crown before you wore it. They failed miserably to keep you trapped in their dark illusion. And their massive failure is becoming painfully obvious to everyone around them. The fake smear campaign is officially collapsing under the heavy weight of truth. People are finally beginning to see their toxic patterns clearly as the masks slip. And all of this destruction is happening while you are simply sitting in absolute quiet peace. You did not have to lift a single earthly finger. This brings us to the ultimate revelation about your current elevated state. They are literally climbing the walls because your peace is their ultimate punishment. But how exactly did you flip the heavy script so effortlessly? I promise to tell you the core reason why your silence completely destroyed their minds, and the answer is deeply tied to the massive news that is about to drop today. Before we go any further, I need you to understand this exact shift. The core reason your absolute calmness destroyed their fragile minds is incredibly simple. You completely recalled your spiritual energy back to its source. They were feeding off your brilliant aura like desperate parasites. When you went totally silent, you permanently starved them of the only light keeping their dark world illuminated. Now they are sitting in absolute pitch-black darkness, and this is exactly where the heavy tables begin to turn permanently. The universe is actively flipping the entire script right now. You can feel the atmosphere changing around you. The heavy burden of false karma has been lifted off your shoulders and placed directly back onto their guilty hands. Heaven does never require you to seek petty revenge. You do not need to lift a single earthly finger against your toxic enemies. The universal law of divine consequence is already operating in full effect. Every malicious lie they told about you is suddenly coming back to haunt their own fragile reputations. People are starting to see the ugly truth behind their carefully crafted fake masks. Notice how their lives seem incredibly chaotic right now. They are suddenly dealing with massive blockages and severe personal conflicts. This is not a random coincidence. This is the direct result of losing the powerful chosen one who secretly stabilized their entire chaotic reality. You were their divine lucky charm, and they foolishly threw you away like useless garbage. You became the exact weapon you were desperately trying to survive. The intense storm did not break you, because you finally realized you were the storm all along. They wanted you to drown in the deep waters of endless despair. But they did not know. Heaven taught you how to breathe completely underwater during your darkest moments of painful isolation. Take a deep breath and let this powerful realization settle in your weary spirit. You are no longer the bleeding empath who desperately begged for basic respect. You have officially upgraded into an untouchable master of your own timeline. Your energy demands absolute respect, without a single word ever being spoken out loud. They can feel this shift from miles away. They are desperately trying to peek into your new life. They obsessively monitor your silent movements, looking for any tiny sign of misery. They deeply want to see you failing miserably without their toxic presence. But instead they see absolutely nothing because you have wisely sealed your energetic borders. Your quiet joy is the ultimate punishment for their cruel manipulation. They thought betrayal would break you permanently, but instead it activated a primal and dangerous level of spiritual power inside you. Welcome to your era of quiet authority. Funny how the same people who ignored your texts and drained your energy are suddenly feeling incredibly uncomfortable around your name. They are deeply intimidated by the massive spiritual upgrade you just received. You must completely release any lingering attachment to their dark fate. Do not waste another second feeling sorry for the consequences they are currently facing. You cannot save people who are entirely committed to their own destruction. The universe gave them multiple chances to honor your bright light, but they repeatedly chose to disrespect the heavy divine anointing placed upon your chosen life. Now they must pay the exact price of their severe spiritual blindness. The heavy scales of justice are rebalancing as we speak. You are being completely vindicated in the very same rooms where your character was cruelly assassinated. The divine judges have reviewed your case and ruled entirely in your absolute favor. This is the ultimate victory you spent countless tears praying for. They know a massive blessing is making its way to you right now. Their dark spirits can somehow sense the heavy vibration of your incoming wealth transfer. This is exactly why they are suddenly scrambling to find a way back into your good graces. They want to position themselves near you before the big news officially drops, desperately hoping to catch some of the overflowing divine favor meant only for you. But heaven has permanently locked the heavy iron doors behind you. They will never be allowed to cross the sacred threshold into your promised land. They chose to abandon you in the freezing rain, so they cannot sit at your table during the massive feast. You are walking into a season of supreme abundance, completely unburdened by their heavy, toxic baggage. As this profound realization settles into your spirit, you must prepare your heart for the next crucial phase. The massive news is getting incredibly close to your physical reality, but the universe is currently sending you very specific clues to guide your next steps. If you ignore these subtle clues, you might accidentally delay the final delivery of your generational blessing. Listen closely to these next words. The universe has officially scheduled a divine court date for those who wronged you. This is not a simple metaphor. Heaven is literally reviewing the exact timeline of their malicious actions right now, and the spiritual judges have uncovered every single hidden lie they told while they thought you were completely destroyed. They thought they could permanently bury the evidence of their toxic abuse, but they were entirely wrong. This is exactly why they are currently tasting absolute panic. Their intuition is screaming at them, their bones are shaking. They cannot sleep peacefully because their own heavy guilt is keeping them wide awake at night. They can feel the massive weight of impending judgment pressing down on their chests, and the same crippling anxiety they once forced you to carry has now been permanently returned to its rightful owners. They used to laugh behind your back. They mocked your gentle nature. They considered your kindness a severe weakness. They built their entire false reality on top of your broken boundaries, believing that you would never find the strength to stand up and walk away from their endless manipulation. But the foundation of their toxic empire is violently shaking today. The universe is actively preparing to serve them, and you are seeing the direct signs of this massive shift everywhere. You keep glancing at the clock. You see exactly 111. These repeating numbers are not random glitches in the matrix. They are divine receipts proving that your spiritual lawsuit has been fully processed by the highest powers, and the heavenly court is sending you physical confirmation that the final verdict is rapidly approaching. You might also be experiencing strange electrical interference around you. Lights flickering for no reason. Your phone acting incredibly glitchy. This is your massive aura expanding and pushing out their negative attachments. Your energy field is literally preparing to receive a monumental download of divine authority, pushing out all the stagnant trauma that kept you trapped in their miserable cycle for so many painful years. Notice how your own mind feels entirely different lately. Your heart is quiet. Your breathing is steady. While their dark world is descending into absolute chaos, you are experiencing an unprecedented level of deep inner peace. You are no longer anxiously waiting for their fake apologies. This total emotional detachment is the ultimate proof that you have evolved into a true master of reality. The big news I promised to reveal is deeply connected to this exact spiritual trial. The final ruling is about to be handed down in the heavenly realms, and it involves a massive generational wealth transfer directly into your completely clean hands. Heaven is forcibly taking the stolen blessings from your wicked enemies and returning them to your timeline with extreme interest. Their massive loss is your absolute gain. But I have to warn you about a fatal trap first. Right before the heavy gavel strikes and the massive blessing is officially released, the darkness will attempt one final desperate maneuver. They know they cannot stop the divine verdict, so they will try to trick you into breaking your own spiritual shield just moments before the big news officially arrives in your physical reality. Do not be fooled. This trap is incredibly deceptive. The enemy will suddenly send a toxic counterfeit from your past back into your daily life. They might send a completely random text message. They might stage an accidental run-in on the street. They desperately want you to engage with their fake apology, so you will lower your high frequency, and if you respond to their bait, you will instantly pollute your clean energy. You must remain completely silent when this happens. Do not reply to their desperate messages. Do not offer them a single ounce of your precious forgiveness. The heavenly court requires you to maintain your quiet authority until the very end of this trial, because your absolute silence is the final signature needed to close this painful chapter forever. You must not look back at the burning city. The storm is practically over. The dark clouds are actively parting over your timeline right now, but you must hold your sacred ground for just a little bit longer. The narcissists are climbing the walls because they realize they have absolutely zero access to your brilliant light. Let them sit in the dark and face their own terrifying demons completely alone. You owe them absolutely nothing anymore. Are you prepared to hear the final outcome? This brings us to the ultimate revelation about your divine inheritance. The waiting season is ending in a spectacular fashion. You have survived the brutal testing phase, and now you must properly position your spirit to receive the massive upgrade that heaven has meticulously prepared for you. Prepare your heart. The climax of your incredible journey is happening in this exact moment. The wait is officially over. The heavenly gavel has finally struck the solid wood, and the deafening sound is violently shaking the foundations of their fragile empire right now. This is the exact moment your complete vindication manifests in the physical realm. The massive big news is no longer a distant prophecy, because it is landing on your timeline today. Here is the absolute truth you have been waiting for. The big news is a total generational wealth transfer. Heaven is forcibly seizing the stolen blessings from those who cruelly manipulated your kind heart, and the universe is rerouting all that massive abundance directly into your completely clean hands. You are receiving the exact reward they desperately tried to steal, while they are left with absolutely nothing. They are watching their false reality crumble into tiny pieces. The heavy karma they avoided for years has finally caught up to them. They are completely panicking because their stolen luck has entirely run out. They tried to build their dark castle on top of your broken spirit, but they forgot that heaven protects the chosen ones with absolute fierce vengeance while pouring out wrath on the abusers. You did not have to say a single angry word to destroy them. Your absolute silence became the heaviest weapon of divine justice. When you refused to fall into that fatal trap of arguing with toxic counterfeits, you proved your ultimate spiritual maturity. You walked past their final desperate bait without even turning your head, and that sealed their miserable fate completely. They are entirely powerless against you now. You are no longer the bleeding empath who desperately begged for basic respect. The intense crucible of pain has forged you into the untouchable master of your reality. From this exact moment on, your massive energy demands respect without a single earthly word spoken. You wear a crown of quiet authority that absolutely blinds the toxic narcissists around you. They cannot comprehend your glorious ascension. The scales of justice are completely tipped in your heavy favor. Every single tear you cried in the dark has been converted into pure spiritual gold. You are standing at the glorious finish line of a brutal marathon, and the people who tried to trip you along the way are now choking on the thick dust you left behind. They can never catch up to your light. Can you feel that massive shift in your spirit right now? That electric sensation rushing through your veins is the frequency of absolute victory. The pitch-black darkness has officially retreated behind you. The bright dawn of your new era is shining its warmest rays directly onto your spiritual crown, and you are stepping into the exact timeline you were born to rule. Heaven is wrapping you in an impenetrable shield of divine favor. The heavy chains of your painful past are completely shattered on the floor. You survived a vicious spiritual trial meant to destroy your legacy entirely. But you evolved, instead of breaking, and you became the exact weapon of light that terrifies the dark forces controlling your miserable enemies. You are truly unstoppable today. They will spend the rest of their pathetic lives wondering how you survived. They will constantly check your silent timeline, hoping to see you fail. But they will only witness your massive and effortless ascension to the very top. Your quiet joy will slowly drive them insane while they sit in the freezing dark. You are officially untouchable and completely victorious today. Take a massive breath and let this euphoric energy fill your lungs completely. You must fully absorb the profound weight of this total liberation. The universe has officially cleared your name in every room where they tried to ruin your reputation. You are breathing the crisp air of ultimate freedom, and no dark entity can ever drag you back into their messy cage. This is the massive turning point of your entire earthly existence. The deep spiritual wounds have completely healed into solid armor. You are radiating a level of pure confidence that scares the people who used to manipulate you easily. You are a cycle breaker, stepping into extreme generational wealth. And heaven is asking you to lock in this frequency right now. You must actively claim this new reality before you leave this message. The dark forces will try to make you doubt this glorious revelation the minute you look away. They want you to forget the immense power you just discovered inside yourself. But you absolutely cannot let them steal your hard-earned crown. You must seal this divine blessing physically today. I need you to prepare your heart for one final step. Your spirit is vibrating at the highest possible frequency of pure victory right now. To permanently lock in this glorious energy and create an absolute shield of protection around your timeline, you must perform a simple act of obedience. Heaven is watching your response in this exact second to see if you are truly ready. The ultimate blessing is literally waiting for your physical confirmation. You must prove to the universe that your hands are completely open to receive this massive transfer of wealth. Do not let this crucial moment pass you by. You have fought too hard and cried too many tears to drop the ball at the absolute finish line. Your new kingdom timeline requires a final seal of approval. Let the heavy dust finally settle around your feet. The violent storm is completely behind you now. Feel the absolute stillness taking over your physical space. You are standing victorious on the other side of the darkest valley you ever walked, and they are no longer a massive threat to your internal peace. The spiritual war is officially over today. While their miserable world continues to burn, your new reality is deeply insulated by divine grace. You do not need to look back at the chaotic wreckage. They made their cruel choices, and now they must live entirely in the dark. But your path is beautifully illuminated by the brilliant light of heaven itself. You are completely safe now. You are the powerful chosen one who survived the absolute worst they had to offer. They threw their heaviest stones to sink you straight to the bottom, but they did not realize your beautiful spirit was made of pure light. You floated gracefully to the surface and left them drowning in their own toxic resentment. You won this battle by staying perfectly still. Never forget the extreme power of your quiet silence. Your calm demeanor was the exact weapon that totally destroyed their illusion of absolute control. They desperately wanted your loud anger to validate their twisted narrative. But your profound peace became the solid brick wall that shattered their fragile egos completely. You successfully starved their noisy demons. Now you must prepare your physical vessel for the massive influx of divine favor. The generational wealth transfer we discussed is already actively downloading into your current timeline. It will manifest in completely unexpected ways over these next few weeks, bringing sudden miraculous opportunities that perfectly align with your highest purpose. Keep your eyes completely open for the incoming miracles. Do not ever shrink your massive energy again to make toxic people feel comfortable in your sacred presence. You beautifully outgrew their tiny emotional cages a very long time ago. If they try to crawl back into your protected space, you must keep the heavy iron gate firmly locked. Guard your pure heart with supreme vigilance. We must establish a permanent energy shield around this massive breakthrough right now. The dark forces will attempt to scatter this profound blessing the exact moment this video ends. But you can instantly neutralize their petty attacks by anchoring your high frequency in the physical realm, and heaven strictly requires a physical act of obedience today. Do not leave yourself unprotected. Hit the subscribe button right now to establish a divine energy receiving station. This simple action physically tells the universe you are officially claiming your rightful position as a master of reality. It perfectly aligns your daily frequency with the exact vibration of absolute victory, ensuring that massive abundance flows effortlessly into your life. Lock in this glorious reality right away. Type 111 down in the comments to permanently seal this brand new timeline. Let that written declaration serve as a binding spiritual contract between you and the highest angelic powers. When you type those sacred numbers, you are actively building an unbreakable wall of solid titanium around your beautiful aura. Claim your absolute protection immediately. There is one final necessary step to multiply this massive heavenly blessing. If this fiery message resonated deep within your weary bones, you simply cannot keep this profound revelation completely to yourself. God specifically designed the universal flow of divine wealth to multiply exponentially whenever it is generously shared with another wounded soul. Be the necessary guiding light for them today. Share this video message right now with someone who desperately needs to hear this exact truth. There is another powerful chosen one out there bleeding in the heavy dark of absolute despair. By sending them this heavy spiritual weapon, you are instantly multiplying your own massive blessing tenfold while simultaneously destroying the plans of the enemy. Sow this seed of deep hope today. As we finally close this sacred session, take one more slow, deep breath into your beautifully healed chest. Feel the incredible lightness of your completely purified and totally restored spirit. The heavy burdens of your painful past are officially erased forever. You are walking straight into the brightest and most abundant chapter of your entire earthly existence. Enjoy this profound new freedom. Let the defeated narcissists climb the walls in their self-made prisons of absolute misery. Let them choke quietly on the bitter consequences of their own malicious and calculated actions. Their incredibly dark fate is completely irrelevant to your beautiful and blessed journey now, because you have a glorious empire of pure light to build. You will build it in perfect, supreme peace. Heaven is incredibly proud of the quiet and stoic warrior you have finally become. Walk confidently forward, with your head held extremely high and your heavy crown perfectly centered. You are the absolute anomaly. You are the generational cycle breaker. And your absolute flawless victory is finally here to stay forever. I will see you in the next divine transmission.